Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of Chaitanya Charitamrita, and in this chapter we have been studying the branches and sub-branches of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's tree of Parampara, disciplic succession. And in the previous session, I think 2 weeks back, we stopped at this verse, Adilila 10.39, and that is about Nandana Ācārya, the 17th branch of the Chaitanya tree. So it is said here, as you can see, is celebrated. Nandana Ācārya, the 17th branch of the Chaitanya tree, is celebrated within the world because the two Prabhus, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, sometimes hid in his house. So we wanted to find out why did their lordships want to hide in his house. So there are some stories in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. So we will actually go to that section of Chaitanya Bhagavat, and that will be the subject of today's session. So all these personalities we want to go in depth as much as possible, as much as we have information of. So today we will be studying about the activities of Nandana Ācārya and what pastimes unfolded by their lordships hiding in his house. Alright, we will say our Mangalacharan prayers and proceed on with the class. And excuse me for the delay. It was a bit quite a hectic day, so I'm sorry about that. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So kindly share this link, because the link that I shared earlier in the groups is just the channel link, but it's not the live stream link. So please share this live stream link in the WhatsApp groups and Telegram groups that our devotees are in, so that they can be notified. Because we have started a bit late, I think people are not used to this timing, and we have shifted to YouTube Live instead of Facebook Live. So please share the live video link. Okay, thank you very much for that. So we will proceed. 10.39 Nandana Ācārya Shakha Jagate Vidita Lukaya Dui Prabhur Jar Ghare Sthita. Okay, the live link is here, but I don't want it here. I want it to be shared in the groups, because what will people do if the live link is here? Nandana Ācārya, the 17th branch of the Chaitanya tree, is celebrated within the world because the two Prabhus, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, sometimes hid in his house. So we have never heard about, at least I don't recall reading about Nandana-Ācārya anywhere. Of course, I've read the Chaitanya Charitamrita once, but I can't remember the names. So, not very prominently known, Nandana-Ācārya. So, let's read the purport and then go to the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Actually, I read these two chapters about the Lord, the Lordship's hiding in his house 2 weeks back after the completion of that session. It was quite interesting, very enlightening pastimes. But the mention of Nandana-Ācārya is very little bit. Hiding in his house and eventually how the Lord was glorified. Nandana-Ācārya played a role, but not like a prominent role, at least in the description of that text of Chaitanya Bhagavat, but the pastimes were very sweet, very nice. So, okay, we'll read the purport and then go to the Chaitanya Bhagavat section. So, I think today we will only do about Nandana-Ācārya's house and the pastimes that are unfolded there, and we don't have much time anyway. Nandana-Ācārya was another companion of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during his Kirtan pastimes in Navadvip. So, these Kirtan pastimes in Navadvip of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu means the early inauguration days of the Sankirtan movement, where the Lord was doing Sankirtan behind closed doors in the house of Shrivas Thakur, Shrivas Angan. So there he was doing this Kirtan. So that is what is referred to here. So Nandana-Ācārya was known, was associate of Lord Chaitanya at that time during his Kirtan pastimes in Navadvip. Sri Nityananda Prabhu as Avadhuta travelled on many pilgrimages, and when he first came to Sri Navadvip Dham, he remained hidden in the house of Nandana-Ācārya. Now regarding Nityananda Prabhu's hiding, I did not find a story in the Chaitanya Bhagavat readily. I found though why Advaita Prabhu stayed and why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed there. So these two I could find. Nityananda Prabhu, if some of you can find, that's well and good. Otherwise we're going to study about the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Advaita Prabhu, Advaita Ācārya hiding in his house. It is there that he, Lord Nityananda, first met all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his Mahaprakash, he asked Ramai Pandit to call Advaita Prabhu, who was hiding in the home of Nandana-Ācārya, for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand that he was hiding. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya also sometimes hid in the home of Nandana-Ācārya. In this connection, one may refer to Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Khanda, chapters 6 and 17. So that's where we're going to go now. Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Khanda, chapter 6 and chapter 17. So we will go through the whole chapters. As I said, the mention of Nandana-Ācārya is very little bit in those chapters, but the pastimes are beautiful. Himanshu Prabhu is saying, Prabhu, I thought we will read together. I do not know what you mean by that. Nahwa. Who is Nahwa? Make sure you get proper rest, Prabhu. Just wait a second. Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Khanda, chapter 6, the Lord's meeting with Advaita. So, Alright, so I'll just read this verse, but in going forward I won't read all the verses, but this is a nice verse. Jayati Jayati Deva Krishna Chaitanya Chandro Jayati Jayati Kirtis Tasya Nitya Pavitra Jayati Jayati Bhrityas Tasya Vishvesha Murter Jayati Jayati Bhrityas Tasya Sarva Priyanam. All glories to Sri Krishna Chaitanya Chandra, who is the fully transcendental knowledge. All glories to his devotees and all glories to the dancing of his beloved associates. See Adikhanda chapter 1 verse 5. Oh. Okay, we're not going to go there. We're going to straight go into this chapter. Maybe one day we can start Chaitanya Bhagavat. I myself haven't read that book. All glories to Gaurachandra, the life and soul of the universe. Please give your lotus feet in charity to my heart. Wow. Dana deho hriday tumar padadvanda. All glories to the all auspicious Vishwambhar. All glories to the servants of Gaurachandra. Vishwambhar is another name of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to the life and soul of Paramananda Puri. All glories to the life and wealth of Swarup Damodar. All glories to the dear Lord of Rupa and Sanatan. All glories to the Lord who is the heart and soul of Jagadish and Gopinath. Gopinath is the brother-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. All glories to the Lord of Govinda, the doorkeeper. O Lord, please glance mercifully on the living entities. Govinda is the servant of Ishwar Puri and the companion of Mahaprabhu. In this way, Gaurachandra, in the association of Nityananda, enjoyed Sankirtan pastimes with the devotees. I think the Nityananda Prabhu's hiding probably is in the Adikhanda or something like that. I do not know. I did not actually take time to look out for that. If any of you can find, we will read them. We will read their pastimes as well. Subhodip Bose is asking, please tell us the verses which debunks birth-based caste system. I'm sorry, but today's session is not about that at all. On AM, Ask Me Anything Mondays, which is the coming Monday. You can ask any question actually. We will answer your questions, and maybe in that session you can come on with this question. So today's session is not about this at all. So we will be reading about this particular pastime of Nandana Ācārya's house, their lordship's hideout. In this way, Gaurachandra, in the association of Nityananda, enjoyed Sankirtan pastimes with the devotees. Now here in the Madhya Khanda about the arrival of Advaita Prabhu and his meeting with the Lord. So this is the interesting part. The way Advaita Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has pastimes together, it's very sweet. So one day Mahaprabhu, in the mood of the Supreme Lord, lovingly instructed Ramai, go to the house of Advaita and inform him that I have manifested. Ramai is the youngest brother of Srivas. So Srivas Thakur's youngest brother, Ramai. So he said, go to the house of Advaita and inform him that I have manifested. Tell him that the Lord he worshipped for so long, the Lord he cried for, the Lord he fasted for, that Lord has now manifest. Jar lagi korila vistar aradhan, jar lagi koriya cha vistar krandan, jar lagi korila vistar upavas, Shai Prabhu tomar ashi hoila prakash. Beautiful. So, if you know, Advaita Ācārya was the one who fervently prayed with tears in his eyes, like flowing like rivers, praying to the Lord. He was praying to he was doing Shalagram Abhishek, Tulsi leaves and Gangajal, and he was loudly calling out, and answering those prayers, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, and now he is asking Ramai. So this is now at this point, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was just beginning his Sankirtan movement right at the inauguration time. So Nityananda Prabhu joined him at this place, at the Srivasangan, and then Advaita Ācārya also sort of joined him in the Srivasangan. So until then they never met each other in this earthly leela on the okay, so Radhika Sakhi Mataji is saying, Hare Krishna Prabhu, I found the story but sent on WhatsApp because here character limit is quite strict. So I will put that on the screen later on. So Nityananda Prabhu's story seems to be ready. So we will first read Advaita Prabhu's story, and then we will maybe read Nityananda Prabhu's story and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's story, why they all hid in Nandana Ācārya's house. Rajeshwari Mataji is saying, if you could chant the verses, would be more pleasurable. We'll try. I was thinking just because we have a lot of ground to cover, so I will try again. Anyway. Bhakti yoga vilayate tar agaman apane asiya jhat karo vivartan. He has appeared to distribute devotional service. He should come immediately to join him. The word jhata means immediately or quickly. The word vivartan means beginning of an activity, dancing, wandering, changing, or being present. You should personally come at once. In other words, meet me. Nirjane kahiyo nityanandagaman je kichu dekhila tare kahiyo kathan. Also secretly inform him about Nityananda's arrival and whatever else you have seen. So I think Nityananda's arrival. Okay, Radhika Sakhi Mataji has sent me the thing, but here Nityananda's arrival. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is referring to Nityananda's arrival. So did Nityananda's arrival happen before this in some chapter of Chaitanya Bhagavat? If there is a source, if that story is the source is Chaitanya Bhagavat, please let me know so that we can actually go into the chapter and read on the screen nicely. Amar pujar sarva upahar laya jhata asibare bolo sastrika hoya. Tell him to quickly come here with his wife and articles for my worship. Srivasa Anuja Rama Agnya Shire Dhari Shekshane Chalilas Smagari Hari Hari. Being ordered by the Lord, Ramai, the youngest brother of Srivas, remembered Lord Hari and immediately left. Anande Vihvala Patha Najane Ramai Sri Chaitanya Agyalaya Gela Sethai. Ramai was overwhelmed in ecstasy and did not know which way he was going. Simply by the order of Sri Chaitanya, he arrived at his destination. So this is quite interesting. In his ecstasy, he did not know where he was going, but by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, he reached his destination. It reminds me of this verse. There is this nice verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Dhavan nimilyava netre napate napate iva. 11:235 Bhagavatam. Yanasthaya naro rajan napramadyeta karhichid dhavan nimilyava netre naskhale napate diha. O King, one who accepts this process of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead will never blunder on his path in this world. Even while running with his eyes closed, he will never trip or fall. So, Ramai seems to have demonstrated this verse. आचार्य रे नमस्करे रामाय पंडित कहते ना पारे कथा आनंदे पूर्णित. Ramaya Pandit offered his obeisances to Advaita Ācārya, but he was filled with such ecstasy that he was unable to speak. Sarvajna Advaita Bhakti Yogera Prabhave Ailo Prabhur Agnya Jani Ache Age. By the influence of devotional service, the omniscient Advaita already understood. The order of the Lord has arrived. रामाय देखिया हासि बोले न वचन बुझी आज्ञा होइलो आमा निवार कारण. On seeing Ramay, he smiled and said, I guess you have come here to take me. Advaita Ācārya said. करो जोड़ो करी बोले रामाय पंडित सकल जानिया छ चलो त्वरित. With folded hands, Ramay Pandit said, You know everything. Please come immediately. So, just a point of note here. The pastimes mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavat, written by Vrindavan Das Thakur, who is incarnation of Vyasadeva, very much focused on the earlier pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Charitamrita focused more on the later pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, did not want to repeat what Vrindavan Das Thakur has already described. So that's why these incidents of the beginning of this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, they are mentioned but not in great detail. In Chaitanya Bhagavat we would find a much more elaborate description. It is said that Vrindavan Das Thakur was trying to describe everything, and he described the earlier pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he found that already the book was so voluminous, so he, instead of making it too long, so he wanted to condense. Then he condensed it, so the later pastimes were not elucidated as much. So that is the explanation. But either way, we have access to Chaitanya Bhagavat, so we should be thankful. आनंदे विह्वल होया आचार्य गोसाई हेनो नाही जाने देहो आछे कौन ठाए. Ācārya Gosai became overwhelmed in ecstasy. He did not know anything. He even forgot his own body. Okay. Rajagasa Maharaj is saying Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Khanda, chapter 3, text 120 onwards. Okay, so actually we should have done Nityananda first and then Advaita, because this is 6th chapter. They should have mentioned that chapter 3 as well in the Chaitanya Charitamrita purport of Nandana Ācārya. They only mention 6 and 17. Anyway, after this we will go there. Advaita Ācārya Prabhu was so overwhelmed in ecstasy of Lord's service that he lost consciousness of his external body. I think I will read English whenever some interesting verse. I mean, all are interesting, but exceptionally interesting verses, and I would try to read because there is a lot of ground to cover. Who can understand the grave characteristics of Advaita? Although he knows everything, he acts like an ordinary person. The pastimes of Advaita are so confidential that even though he is the knower of everything, he acts like an ignorant person. Where is it stated that the Supreme Lord advents among the human beings? In which scripture is it said that Lord would incarnate in Nadia? Kothava Gosai Aila Manushak Bhitare Kon Shastre Bole Nadia Avatare. He asked, in which scripture is it written that Lord Hari, who is the supreme deliverer of everyone, will incarnate in Nadia among the human beings? See, this is how, if somebody claims that there's God is here, so immediately question should be like this. मोर भक्ति वैराग्य अध्यात्म ज्ञान मोर सकल जानय Srinivas Bhaitor. Your brother Srinivas knows everything about my devotional service, renunciation and spiritual knowledge. Srimad Advaita Ācārya said to Ramaya, O Ramaya, your eldest brother Srivas knows about my proficiency in devotional service, renunciation and spiritual knowledge. Ramaya was fully aware of Advaita's characteristics, so he did not reply but smiled to himself. Such are the unfathomable characteristics of Advaita. They are auspicious for the devotees and impediments for the miscreants. Why are the impediments? Because when Advaita Ācārya acts like an ignorant person, the miscreants will say, see, he's just an ordinary person. So that will be a stumbling block because they cannot understand Advaita Ācārya and then therefore they cannot advance. So it will be an impediment for the miscreants. So purport, ordinary people cannot enter into the confidential characteristics of Advaita Prabhu. Those who are fortunate are benefited by understanding the purpose of the Lord, while those who are unfortunate and engaged in sinful activities invite inauspiciousness by attempting to oppose him without understanding. Now, this is all not translated and purports by Prabhupada. It's by, I think, Gopi Pranadhana Prabhu, I think. I do not know who translated. He further said, O Ramaya Pandit, tell me, what is the reason for your sudden arrival? When Ramaya Pandit understood that Advaita Ācārya had become peaceful, he cried and spoke to him as follows. Jar lagi kore acha vistara krandan, jar lagi kore la vistara aradhan, jar lagi kore la vistara upavas, she Prabhu tumara she hoila prakash. The Lord you worshipped for so long, the Lord you cried for, the Lord you fasted for, that Lord has now manifest. Bhakti joge vilayte tar agaman, tomare se agnya kori bare vivartan. He has come in order to distribute devotional service. He has ordered you to join him. Shadanga pujar vidhi yogya sajjalaya, Prabhur agnaya chalo sastrika hoya. Take the 6 appropriate ingredients for worshipping him. The Lord has ordered you to come with your wife. You see, if you remember Hari Haraya Namah, Krishna Yadavaya Namah, Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah, Gopala Govindaram, Srimadhusudana, Giridhari Gopinath, Madana Mohana. So then Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Sita. So why Sita's name is mentioned there, Advaita Prabhu's wife Sita? Because actually that whole song, if you see Hari Haraya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha, those lines and Gopala Govindaram Sri Madhusudana, those were the inaugurating, those 2 lines Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to sing very much in the Srivasangan in the beginning of Sankirtan movement. And Narottam Das Thakur wanted to immortalize those words, those lines. So he put them in the song, and also he mentioned this, Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Sita, Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita. So these are the associates, and then these were the subject matters of discussion in that original Sankirtan, which was behind closed doors. So the 6 ingredients for worship in Archana Marg, the path of deity worship, are water, asana, cloth, lamp, food grains and betel nuts. The 6 items for invoking auspiciousness are cow dung, cow urine, yogurt, milk, ghee and gorochan. The 6 ingredients in Bhajana Marg are offering obeisances, offering prayers, offering the fruits of all activities, offering services, remembering the lotus feet of the Lord and hearing topics of the Lord. Nice. Nityananda Swarup has arrived. He is the Lord's second body and your life and soul. You know him very well. What can I tell you? If I am fortunate enough, I will see you all together, Ramaya said. As soon as Advaita heard this from the mouth of Ramaya, he raised his hands and began to cry. As he cried, he fell unconscious to the ground in ecstasy. On seeing this, everyone there was astonished. After a while, he regained his external consciousness and roared loudly. He repeatedly exclaimed, I have brought my Lord, I have brought my Lord. Kshane ke paya bahya koroye hunkar, anilu anilu bole Prabhu apnar. Because of me, the Lord has come from Vaikuntha. So this is Advaita Ācārya. He fell unconscious. And then he said, I have brought my Lord, I have brought my Lord. Mor lagi Prabhu aila Vaikuntha chhadiya, eto boli kande punah bhumite padiya. Beautiful. Because of me, the Lord has come from Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha chhadiya. He left Vaikuntha and came here only on my call. You see how ecstatic Advaita Prabhu must be feeling. The Lord arrived and the Lord now is, calling him to join in this whole big mission. Speaking in this way, he rolled on the ground and cried. On hearing about the appearance of the Lord, Advaita's chaste wife, the mother of the universe, cried in happiness. Although Achyutananda, the son of Advaita, was only a small child, he also cried incessantly. At that time, Achyutananda, the son of Advaita, was a child. The approximate year of Achyutananda's appearance is 1423 Shakabda, or 1502 AD. It means at that time Mahaprabhu must be 16 years old when Achyutananda was born. Advaita, along with his wife and son, all cried. All the servants surrounding them also cried. No one was aware of who cried, whereas Advaita's entire household became filled with love of Krishna. Although Advaita tried to compose himself, he was unable to do so. His body continually rocked back and forth in ecstatic love of God. He said to Ramai, "What did the Lord tell me?" Ramai replied, "Come immediately." Ramai re bole, "Prabhu ki bolila more." Ramai bolen, "Jhat chalibar tare." Come immediately. Advaita boloye, "Shuno Ramai Pandit, moro Prabhu hono tabe mohar pratit." Advaita Prabhu said, "Oh Ramai Pandit, listen. If he acts like my Lord, then I will have faith in him." So you see, he is testing. So we should not immediately accept any incarnation. Of course, Advaita Prabhu knows everything, but he is teaching us something important. If somebody says, "I am God," immediately we cannot accept, "Oh, he is God, okay, God has come." We have to test. So, Arjuna, he asked Krishna to show Vishwarup, universal form. And similarly here, Advaita Ācārya, although he called the Lord personally, and the Lord descended on his plea, still Advaita Ācārya is showing, where in the Shastras it is said that the Lord will come in Navadvip, Nadia. And he is asking, I want to see that he is my Lord, then I will have faith in him. So we cannot immediately have our faith. We should see whether he is God or not. But to know the characteristics of God. Shadaishwarya Purna. Apana Aishwarya Jodi Mohare Dekhaye, Shri Charan Tuli Dei Mohara Mathaye, Tabe se Janimu Mor Hoye Prananath, Satya Satya Ei Mui Kahilo Tamat. If he displays his opulence to me and places his lotus feet on my head, then I will recognize him as the Lord of my life. I swear this is the truth. Ramai bolen, Prabhu mui ki kohimu, jadi moro bhagye thake nayane dekhimu. Ramai said, "Oh Prabhu, what can I say? If I am fortunate, I will see this with my own eyes." Je tomar ichha Prabhu se tahar, tomara nimitta Prabhu ei avatar. Whatever you desire is also his desire. In fact, the Lord is incarnated because of you. Hailo Advaita tushta Ramera vachan, Shubha yatra udyoga korila tatakshane. Oh, the Ramera vachane. Okay. Advaita Prabhu was pleased to hear Ramai's statements. He then began to make arrangements for the auspicious journey. He said to his wife, "Quickly get ready, take the ingredients for worship and let us go." Advaita's chaste wife knew the truth about Lord Chaitanya. She gathered together sandalwood paste, flower garlands, incense and cloth. She also took some of the Lord's favorite items like condensed milk, yogurt, cream, butter, camphor and betel nuts. Advaita Prabhu, the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then departed with his wife. He forbade Ramai Pandit from informing the Lord about his arrival. So he said, although he went, he left to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, don't tell Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that I have come. ना आयला आचार्य तुम्हें बोले बावचन देखी मोर प्रभु तबे की बोले तखन. Tell him Advaita Ācārya has not come, then I will see what my Lord has to say. So he wanted to test him. गुप्ते थाको मुई नंदन आचार्यर घरे ना आयला बोली तुम्हें कोरी बागो चरे. I will secretly stay in the house of Nandanacharya, but you tell him he has not come. You lie. So they are playing hide and seek. So basically Advaita Ācārya wants to test whether Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will come to know or not. If he comes to know, that means he is the Antaryami, he is the Lord, and that's how he wanted to establish. Lord Vishwambar, who resides in the heart of everyone, understood Advaita's resolution. Sabar Hridaya Vaise Prabhu Vishwambar Advaita Sankalpa Chitte Hoilo Gochar. Knowing about the arrival of Advaita Ācārya, the Lord went to the house of Srivas Pandit. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Srivas Pandit's house. Almost all of Lord Chaitanya's devotees gathered there by the will of the Lord. Everyone could understand that the Lord was absorbed in ecstasy. They all became anxious and stood there silently. Then Lord Tridasha Rai roared loudly and sat on the throne of Lord Vishnu. The phrase Tridashera Rai refers to 3 more than 3 times 10 or 33. Hūkara Kuriya Prabhu Tridashera Rai Uthiya Vasila Prabhu Vishnu Khattai. So this Tridasha Rai is nothing but none other than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. So the phrase Tridashera Rai refers to the 3 more than 3 times 10 or 33, which consists of the 12 Adityas, the 11 Rudras, the 8 Vasus and the 2 Ashwini Kumaras. These 33 are principal demigods and are the 33 referred to here. Rai, Raya or Rao mean Raja or King. The supreme controller, the object of worship and the lord of 330 million demigods. So there are 33 chief demigods and there are 330 million of them. Nada. So this is another name. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu refers to Advaita Prabhu like this, Advaita Ācārya. I actually do not know why, but Nada. He calls him Nada. Nada aise bole bare bare, Nada chahe mor Thakural dekhi bare. The Lord repeatedly declared, Nada is coming, Nada is coming, Nada wants to see my opulences. Purport. Advaita Prabhu said to Ramai, the youngest brother of Srivas, you should tell Mahaprabhu that Advaita did not come. I want to see what is his reaction. I will secretly hide in the house of Nandanacharya and you go tell Mahaprabhu what I have told you. The super soul Sri Gauranga understood this confidential talk, so when he went to the house of Srivas, there he sat on the throne of Narayan, the family deity of Srivas, and repeatedly declared, Nada is coming, Nada is coming. The Lord further said, Nada, Advaita Ācārya wants to test my supremacy. He doubts whether I can understand his intention, or perhaps he played this trick to manifest me before the world. So this is Advaita Ācārya's way of, not just externally he was testing, but actually internally this is his announcement to the world that here is the Supreme Lord Narayan who has come. He has arrived and he is going to inaugurating the Sankirtan movement. So this is the declaration. So Advaita Ācārya used Nandanacharya's house as that, launch pad of announcing to the world Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's arrival in this world, and his mission is the whole thing. So until then, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was doing all kinds of pastimes. He was known as a great Pandit. He defeated Keshav Kashmiri, and even in his childhood he did many charming pastimes. But he, being the supreme personality of Godhead, Advaita Ācārya was anxious to establish, and Nandanacharya's house became that place where this would be announced. He would be the instrument in making this announced to the world. So basically he wants to glorify Lord Chaitanya. Nada wants to test my supremacy. He doubts whether I can understand his intentions, or perhaps he played this trick to manifest me before the world. Nityananda jane sab prabhura ingita, bujhiya mastake chhatra dharila tvarita. Nityananda knows the Lord's desires. With this understanding, he held an umbrella over the Lord's head. Understanding the situation, Gadadhar bhuji deya karpura tambula sarvajane kare seva jena anukula. Understanding the situation, Gadadhar offered camphor and betel nuts. Everyone present served the Lord according to their own favorable mood. Some offered prayers and some offered various services. At that time, Ramai arrived there. Before Ramai could speak anything, the Lord said to him, Nada has sent you to test me. Nahi kehite Prabhu bole Ramai re, more parikshite nada pathaile tore. So, Nada has sent you to test me. Nada aise boli Prabhu mastaka dhulaye, janiya o more nada chaloye sadaye. The Lord rolled his head and said, Nada is coming. He knows me well, yet he always tests me. Purport. Although Advaita knows me perfectly well, he always tests me. Ācārya Nandana Ācārya ghare more parikshite nada pathaila tore. So I know Nada is hiding at the house of Ācārya and he has sent you to test me. Quickly go and bring him here. I am gladly saying this with my own mouth. Anande chalila puna Ramai Pandita Sakala Advaita sthane korila vidita. Ramai Pandit again happily went and explained to Advaita everything that the Lord had said. Shuniya anande bhase Advaita Ācārya aila prabhur sthane siddha hoilo karya. On hearing him, Advaita Ācārya floated in waves of ecstasy. Having fulfilling his purpose, he immediately went to the Lord. Purport. The purpose of Advaita was to reveal the supremacy and omniscience of Mahaprabhu to the people of the world. That is why he hid himself at the house of Nandana Ācārya and deceptively ordered Ramai not to disclose his intention to Mahaprabhu. Now that Sri Mahaprabhu has personally disclosed these facts about Advaita and thereby proved his supremacy, Advaita's intention has been fulfilled. So this is the mission of Advaita Ācārya. दूरे था कि दंडवत करिते करिते शस्त्री के आइसिस तव पढ़िते पढ़िते. Advaita Ācārya and his wife offered obeisances from a distance and recited prayers as they approached the Lord. They came before the Lord, surrendered at his lotus feet, which award fearlessness, and saw his matchless beauty, which enchants the entire universe. The phrase Nirbhaya Pada refers to Sri Gaurasundar's lotus feet, which award fearlessness. Sri Gaurasundar is the personality of Godhead, supremely worshipable by the entire universe, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 11-45. I don't know how this verse is related to this. Sarvabhuteshu yaha pashyet bhagavad bhavamatmanah. The most advanced devotee sees within everything the soul of all souls, the supreme personality of God is Sri Krishna. Maybe the soul of all souls, maybe. The Lord's enchanting beauty defeated that of millions of cupids, and his effulgent body resembled molten gold. Jini akandar pakoti lavanya sundar, jyotirmaya kanaka sundar kalevar. His pleasing face defeated the beauty of millions of moons. He always bestowed mercy on Advaita Ācārya. Prasanna vadana koti chandrera thakur, Advaitara pratijena sadaya prachur. Dui bahu divya kanakera stambhajini, tahi divya abharana ratnera khichani. His two arms, decorated with various ornaments and jewels, resembled two golden pillars. So this was the time when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in his grihastha ashram. He did not take the sannyas ashram. and that's why he was decorated with all these things. When he was sannyasi, his head was shaven and all, no ornaments, nothing. He was just wearing a small cloth and like that, like a sannyasi. But here he had, nice long hair and all the ornaments and everything. The two arms of Sri Gaurasundar conquered the beauty of golden pillars. Those arms were decorated with divine ornaments and appeared like golden pillars bedecked with jewels. His broad chest was decorated with the mark of Srivatsa and the Kaustubha gem. He wore earrings shaped like sharks and the Vaijayanti garland. Purport. The beautiful chest of Sri Gaurasundar was decorated with the mark of Srivatsa and the Kaustubha gem. His ears were decorated with earrings shaped like sharks, and his neck was decorated with the long Vaijayanti garland. So these are the signs of Krishna. So in the Vaikuntha, everybody looks like Vishnu only, four-handed and nice features. Sarupya Mukti means having the same form as the Lord. So, but although they have the same form, they don't have this mark of Srivatsa and Kaustubha gem. So that is especially the marks of the Lord Vishnu. That's how one can distinguish the Lord from the others in Vaikuntha. कोटि महासूर्य जिनि तेजे नाही अंत पाद पद्मे रमा छत्र धरये ananta. His unlimited effulgence defeated that of millions of suns. Rama, the goddess of fortune, sat at his lotus feet, and Ananta held an umbrella over his head. Kiba nokha kiba mani na pare chinite tribhange vajayavam shihasite hasite. You see, kiba nakha kiba mani na pare chinite. No one could discern whether the shining objects at Lord's feet were toenails or jewels. Standing in a threefold bending pose, he smiled as he played a flute. Sri Gaurasundar's beautiful toenails sparkled like shining jewels, so they were mistaken for jewels rather than toenails. So he manifested the Krishna's form. You see? Kiba Prabhu, Kiba Gano, Kiba Alankar, Jyotirmayak Bhai Kichu Nahi Dekhe Yaar. Advaita saw the Lord, his associates and his ornaments as full of effulgence. He saw Mahaprabhu, devotees and the ornaments worn by the Lord as full of effulgence. He could not see anything else. Rajeshwari Mantra is saying, like how we have deities of Gaurnita beautifully dressed. Yes, so this colorful dresses of Gaurnita is like his, like in his grihastha, ashram. He saw personalities with 4 heads, 5 heads and 6 heads offering obeisances to the Lord, and he saw personalities like Narada and Shukadeva offering prayers with awe and reverence. So Advaita Ācārya was seeing this beautiful display of magnificent opulence. Dekhe pade ache chari pancha chaya mukha mahabhaya stuti kore kore naradadi shuka. So chari pancha chaya mukha. Chari means Brahma, pancha means Shiva, chaya means Kartikeya. 6. Mahabhaya stuti kore naradadi shuka. Kore kore is repeated twice, actually kore. Dekhe pade ache chari pancha chaya mukha mahabhaya stuti kore naradadi shuka. He saw personalities with 4 heads, so this way I have read. So purport, he saw the 4-headed Brahma, the 5-headed Shiva and the 6-headed Kartikeya fall flat to offer obeisances to the Lord. He saw personalities like Narada and Shukadeva respectfully glorifying the Lord. Makara vahana ratha eka varangana danda paraname ache jena ganga sama. He saw a beautiful woman resembling Ganga sitting on a shark and offering obeisances to the Lord. A wonderful woman who resembled Ganga was offering obeisances from a chariot that was drawn by a shark. Then he saw the 1,000-headed Anantasesh offering prayers to the Lord as the effulgent demigods watched on all sides. So he saw this beautiful, in fact the crowd, I think the whole sky was crowded like anything. Tabe dekhe stuti kore sahasravadan chari dige dekhe jyotirmaya devagan. उलटी आचार्य देखे चरणेर तले सहस्र सहस्र देव पड़े कृष्ण बोले. This is Advaita Ācārya turned his head and saw thousands of demigods chanting the name of Krishna at the feet of the Lord. Actually, if you see the Gaurarati song of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, this is the description that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, this is the kind of description he's explaining in that song, Gaurarati song, that we sing in the evening. जे पूजार समय जे देव ध्यान करे ताहा देखे चारिदिगे चरणेर तले. Those demigods that are meditated on at the time of worship were all seen surrounding the lotus feet of the Lord. So when people usually meditate on the demigods to achieve big favors, going to heavenly planets, they pray so hard to these demigods and huge sacrifices and everything. Those very demigods were present surrounding the lotus feet of the Lord. देखिया संभ्रमे दंड परणाम छाड़ी उठिला अद्वैत अद्भुत देखी बड़ी. On seeing those opulences, Advaita Ācārya was struck with wonder and got up from his prostrated position. देखे शत फणाधर महानाग गण ऊर्ध्व बाहु स्तुति करे तुली सब फण. He saw great serpents with hundreds of hoods raise their arms while offering prayers to the Lord. He saw the entire sky filled with divine chariots. Antariksha paripurna dekhe divya ratha gajahamsa ashve nirodhila vayu patha. He saw the entire sky filled with divine chariots. The airways were congested by elephants, swans and horses. Now, when I say what kind of nonsense is this, elephants and horses are in the sky. Swans, yes, you can understand, okay, swans also don't actually fly. So what are these doing? What are these beings doing in the sky? So this is the thing, just like ghosts, they can move in the air, right? So higher than ghosts are the demigods. So their bodies are subtle. So this is why the modern scientists cannot see any life on other planets, because their constitution is very different. Very subtle bodies. Like ghosts we can't see, right, here. So there also they can't see the demigods. Their bodies are even more subtle than the ghosts. But this is the scene that he saw. Congested by elephants, swans and horses. The entire sky was tumultuous. So much sound, so many demigods, everybody offering prayers and bowing down and everything. Koti koti nagavadho sajala nayane Krishna boli stuti kare dekhe vidyamane. Millions of serpents' wives were offering prayers to the Lord while chanting the name of Krishna with tears in their eyes. Kshiti antariksha sthana nahi ave avakashe dekhe pade ache maharishi gana pashe. There was no vacant place left on the earth or in the sky. He saw many great rishis offering obeisances in one corner. Big rishis, they don't even have a place anywhere. There was one corner they were standing. Mahathakural dekhe paila sambhrama pati patni kichu bole barana hekshama. Upon seeing those opulences, both husband and wife were so awestruck that they became speechless. On seeing such great opulences of Sri Gaurasundar, Advaita Ācārya and his wife became stunned and speechless. Wow. Parama sadaya mati prabhu Vishwambhar chahiya Advaita prati karila uttar. The most merciful Lord Vishwambhar looked at Advaita and spoke as follows. Tomara sankalpa lagi avatirna ami vistara amara aradhana koile tumi. I have descended to fulfill your vow, for you have profusely worshipped me. Shutiya achilu kshira sagara bhitare Nidra bhanga hoilo mor tumara hunkare. I was sleeping in the ocean of milk, but your loud cries broke my sleep. You see, the Lord came on the plea of Advaita Ācārya. But Advaita Ācārya was so humble that when all the demigods, this beautiful sight of the entire airways being crowded by the demigods and their paraphernalia, he was surprised. Advaita Ācārya. But actually, the Lord did not come for any of those people. The Lord came for him, because of his call. The demigods cannot pray to the Lord. Even when the demigods want the Lord to come, they have to petition Brahma, and Brahma has to call on the shore of the ocean of milk, and then they can only hear the Lord. And Brahma only can hear the Lord, and the Brahma will relay the information to the demigods and give them orders how to maybe cooperate with the Lord in his pastime. But Advaita Ācārya personally called, and the Lord is saying here, I was sleeping in the ocean of milk, but your loud cries broke my sleep. See how he is saying. देखिया जीवेर दुख ना पारी सहिते आमारे आनिले सब जीव उद्धारिते. You could not tolerate the suffering of the living entities, so you have brought me to deliver them. So this is how this is how Advaita Ācārya brought Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we are now actually in that movement. We should really relish these pastimes. How he was brought and how he is declaring here now. Yate kade khile chatur dikhe mor gana sabara hoilo janma tomara karana. All my associates that you saw surrounding me have already taken birth because of you. So when Advaita Ācārya called the Lord brought his entire party down, entire gang. Millions and millions of people, all of them, all the demigods just took birth. All those associates who, showed themselves in the sky, they are the ones who took birth. And that's why we have that Gaura Ganudesh Deepika, which Shivananda Sena's third son, Kavikarnapur, has written. And he mentions each associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what they were in Krishna Leela. So, Advaita Ācārya's call for the Lord brought an entire entourage of this whole team to deliver the fallen souls. Huge team, massive. Jai Vaishnava dekhite brahmadi bhave mane toma hoite taha dekhibe ka sarva jane. By your mercy, Vaishnavas, that even personalities like Brahma desire to see, will now be seen by everyone. Wow. Actually, it reminds me of this Nectar of Instruction verse. I'll show you this. Wow. Jai Vaishnava dekhite brahmadi bhave mane toma hoite taha dekhibe ka sarva jane. Vaishnavas, or even personalities like Brahma desire to see, will now be seen by everyone. This is the power of a Vaishnava. How, okay. So here you see, what is that? Krishna Shakti Vina Nahetar Pravartan. Kali Kale Dharma Harinam Sankirtan. So, without the empowerment of Krishna, one cannot preach. So, when the name of Krishna chanting, this Sankirtan movement, is very difficult for even great, like we know that there was this meeting in the Janalok, way higher planetary system, and there was a big discussion and debate on who is supreme, and Bhrigumuni went and actually tested all the principal three demigods, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, and finally concluded that Vishnu is the supreme. So even there they have these confusions. But in this lower planetary system, Earth, by the mercy of a Vaishnava, the holy name is now spread like anything, like wildfire. So, when the Sankirtan Yajna is going on, of course the presence of the demigods will be there, and rain will be there and all this. That means there is a reciprocation of the demigods. So, such exalted Vaishnavas will be seen that even Brahma would desire to see them. Now everybody will see them just because of you. You see? I'll show you this thing. It's an interesting point here. Nectar of Instruction, verse 11, last verse. कृष्णस्योच्चैः प्रणयवसतिः प्रेयसीभ्योऽपि राधा कुण्डं चास्य मुनिभिरभितस्तादृगेव व्यधायि यत्प्रेष्ठैरप्यलमसुलभं किं पुनर्भक्तिभाजां तत्प्रेमेदं सकृदपि सरः स्नातुराविष्करोति यत्प्रेष्ठैरपि अलं असुलभं किं पुनर्भक्तिभाजां. Now this is very important point. Of the many objects of favor, delight, and of all the lovable damsels of Vrajabhumi, Srimati Radharani is certainly the most treasured object of Krishna's love. And in every respect, her divine Kunda is described by great sages as similarly dear to him. Undoubtedly, Radha Kunda is very rarely attained even by the great devotees. Therefore, it is even more difficult for ordinary devotees. You see, Radha Kunda is very rarely attained even by the great devotees. Therefore, it is even more difficult for ordinary devotees to attain. If one simply bathes once within those holy waters, one's pure love of Krishna is fully aroused. Now, Radha Kund is very rarely attained even by the great devotees. Now, in the purport, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says something. Okay, let's read. The Radha Kund. Okay, maybe this is a bit of a digression. You go and read this purport, but I'm going to point you to this. In this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes that even great sages and great devotees like Narada and Sanaka do not get an opportunity to come to Radha Kund to take their baths. What then to speak of ordinary devotees? If by great fortune one gets an opportunity to come to Radha Kund and bathe even once, he can develop his transcendental love for Krishna exactly as the gopis did. It is also recommended that one should live on the banks of Radha Kund and should be absorbed in the loving service of the Lord. One should bathe there regularly and give up all material conceptions, taking shelter of Sri Radha and her assistant gopis. If one is thus constantly engaged during his lifetime, after giving up the body, he will return back to Godhead to serve Sri Radha in the same way as he contemplated during his life on the banks of Radha Kund. Now, of course, we cannot imitate this. Oh, okay, I will go to Radha Kund and settle down there. Radha Kund means it is a bhava. Did Prabhupada do this? No. He received the order by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur at Radha Kund, saying that if I ever have money, I will print books. Even if I have to sell the temple, I will sell all the marble of the temple and get the money to print books. So that order was given at Radha Kund. That desire of Bhaktisiddhanta was, from the beginning he was trying, instructing Prabhupada in this way, but that he specially mentioned. So Prabhupada picked it up from there that he is very interested in book printing and book distribution. So a preacher's duty is not to just sit down at Radha Kund, but spread the glories of Radha Kund everywhere. As long as he is spreading the glories of Radha Kund, he is already at the banks of Radha Kund. So that is our thing. Our movement is not just to go to Vrindavan, but bring Vrindavan to everywhere. Like Jagannath Puri, Rath Yatra is in Jagannath Puri. But he is Jagannath. He is not Odisha ka Nath. He is Jagat ka Nath. So the whole world. So the pure devotee makes the holy place available everywhere. Not just bring people to the holy place, but make the holy place available everywhere. Now Jagannath Puri is everywhere. The bhava is the thing. So, but anyway, the bench point here is even Narada and Sanaka and Sanatan, they do not get the opportunity to come to Radha Kund. So it's similar. It reminded me of this verse because here it is said, by your mercy, Advaita Ācārya's mercy, Vaishnavas, that even personalities like Brahma desire to see will now be seen by everyone. Same, when Yudhishthir Maharaj was here, the Devatas who nobody could see otherwise, common men could see. By the power of the Pandavas, devotion. The Lord was there and the entire host of demigods used to come. That is the power of a Vaishnava. एतेक प्रभुर वाक्य अद्वैत सुनिया ऊर्ध्वबाहु कोरि कांदे शस्त्रिका hoya. On hearing the Lord's words, Advaita and his wife raised their arms and began to cry. Yes, Tirthi Kurvanti Tirthani from Narada Bhakti Sutra. Yes. Tirthi Kurvanti Tirthani, Sukarmi Kurvanti Karmani, Satchastri Kurvanti Shastrani. That is Narada Bhakti Sutra. Nishita Mataji is saying, calling the Lord, is it fair to say this is the power of a Vaishnava? Given Advaita Ācārya wasn't just the Vaishnava but Vishnu himself. So he's playing the part of a Vaishnava. But a Vaishnava also has this power. Krishna Shakti Vina Nahitar Pravartan. So when the pure devotee sings the name of Krishna, Krishna descends immediately. If you see the Panchatatvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakhyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam, the Panchatattva Mahamantra, Panchatattva Pranam Mantra. So all are Bhakta, all are the five of them. Panchatatvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakhyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. So although they are Krishna and Radharani and Narad Muni even, but they took the part of devotees, Bhakta, even Lord Chaitanya himself. And in fact, the devotees on the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are even more powerful than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I think we have read that, right? Madhya 16.65 purport. Like once Prabhupada was asked, why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not go all over the world himself? Why did he say that somebody will do it? No, he left that for me, Prabhupada said. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, went in India, but Prabhupada went all over the world. So Prabhupada did more than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by the grace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by the grace of Nityananda Prabhu. So that is the power of Vaishnava. In fact, he is more powerful than Vishnu himself. By the power of Vishnu, by the mercy of Vishnu. Like Hanuman and Ram. Hanuman did all the powerful things. Ram was just walking. But Hanuman knew that everything is because of Ram. Otherwise I am nothing. Same with Arjuna. आजी से सफल मोर दिन पर काश, आजी से सफल होइलो जत अभिलाष. Today my life has become successful. Today all my desires have been fulfilled. आजी मोर जन्म कर्म सकल सफल, साक्षाते देखिलु तोर चरण जुगल. Today my life and activities have become successful, for I have seen your lotus feet. घोषे मात्र चारि वेदे, जारे नाही देखे, हेनो तुमि मोर लागे होइला परतेके. The four Vedas only describe your glories but cannot directly see you. Yet you have appeared because of me. The four Vedas cannot reveal the Lord, but you have revealed yourself because of my calls. मोर किछु शक्ति नाही तोमार करुणा, तोमा भय जीव उद्धारिबो कोन जना. I have no power outside of your causeless mercy. Who can deliver the living entities other than you? बोलिते बोलिते प्रेमे भासे न आचार्य, प्रभु बोले आमार पूजार करो कार्य. While speaking in this way, Advaita Ācārya floated in the ecstasy of love of God. The Lord then said, now arrange for my worship. पाया प्रभुर आज्ञा परम हरिषे, चैतन्य चरण पूजे आशेष वशिषे. On receiving the Lord's order, he happily worshipped the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya with full attention. He first washed the lotus feet of the Lord with fragrant water and then smeared them with sandalwood paste. He dipped tulsi manjaris in the sandalwood paste and placed them and the ingredients of arghya on the Lord's lotus feet. Gandha pushpa dhupa deepa pancha upachare, puja kare prema jale vahe ashrudhare. He worshipped the Lord with 5 ingredients like sandalwood paste, flowers, incense and ghee. As he worshipped the Lord, tears of love flowed from his eyes. The 5 ingredients for worship are sandalwood paste, flowers, incense, ghee, and foodstuffs. See Hari Bhakti Vilas 11.48. Panchashikha jwali punah korena vandana, sheshe joy joy dhvani koroye ghoshana. He offered a lamp with 5 ghee wicks, and now we know why we have lamp with 5 ghee wicks. And again offered prayers. Finally, he loudly chanted Jai Jai. The phrase Panchashikha refers to a lamp with 5 ghee wicks. After worshipping the Lord's feet with 16 ingredients, he offered a flower, garland, cloth, and ornaments. So this is Shodashopachar. The deity worship includes all the 16 things. But I'm going to go to the next one. Ācārya worshipped the Lord according to the Pancharatrika regulations of the scriptures. He offered his obeisances while reciting the following verse. शास्त्र दृष्टि पूजा करे पटल विधाने ए श्लोक पढ़ी करे दंड प्रणामे dandavат pranam. So the phrase patal vidhan refers to the Pancharatriki regulations that are described in the various patalas or chapters of the scriptures. Ācārya Prabhu worshipped Mahaprabhu according to the Pancharatrika rules and regulations set forth in the scriptures. By using the phrases Shastra Drishti and Patal Vidhani, the author of Chaitanya Bhagavat has indicated to those who are inclined to the service of the Lord that Ācārya Prabhu worshipped Gaura with Sri Gaura Mantra. We find this method of worship in Sri Dhyanachandra's Paddhati as well as in many other Pancharatra literatures like the Urdhvamnaya Tantra. In these literatures, the process of worshipping Gaura with Gaura Mantra is described. Ācārya Prabhu worshipped Mahaprabhu according to the Pancharatrika rules and regulations based on the scriptures, and in order to reveal that Lord Gaurasundar is non-different from Vishnu, he offered praise to Mahaprabhu by reciting the verse beginning Namo Brahmanya Devaya. By quoting the verse beginning Namo Brahmanya Devaya, the author of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat did not contradict the Gaura Mantra. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. With this mantra he worshipped Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Krishna, who is the worshipable deity for all Brahmanical men, who is the well-wisher of the cows and Brahmanas, and who is always benefiting the whole world. I offer my repeated obeisances to the personality of Godhead known as Krishna and Govinda. See Madhya Khanda chapter 2 verse 137. Okay, we're not going to go there. First he offered obeisances by reciting this verse, and then he offered prayers in accordance with various scriptures. All glories to Vishwambar, the life and soul of all living entities. All glories to Gaurachandra, the ocean of mercy. All glories to the Lord who makes the words of his devotee come to. This is very nice prayer. Jaya Jaya Sarva Prana Natha Vishwambhar, Jaya Jaya Gaurachandra Karuna Sagar, Jaya Jaya Bhakta Vachana Satyakari, Jaya Jaya Mahaprabhu Maha Avatari. Bhakta Vachana Satyakari. So the Lord is Bhakta Vachana Satyakari. So he makes the words of his devotee true. So this is very nice. This is a very nice phrase, name of the Lord. Bhakta Vachan Satyakari. All glories to the Lord who makes the words of his devotees come true. All glories to Mahaprabhu, the supreme fountainhead of all incarnations. Jaya Jaya Sindhu Sutta Rupa Manorama, Jaya Jaya Srivatsa Kaustubha Vibhushana. All glories to the Lord who is enchanted by the beauty of Goddess Lakshmi and the daughter of the ocean. All glories to the Lord who is decorated with the mark of Srivatsa and the Kaustubha gem. Jaya Jaya Hare Krishna Mantrera Prakash, Jaya Jaya Nija Bhakti Grahana Vilas. All glories to he who introduces the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. All glories to he who enjoys the pastimes of accepting his own devotional service. Jaya Jaya Mahaprabhu Ananta Shayan, Jaya 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 Sarva Jivera Sharan. All glories to Mahaprabhu who lies on the bed of Ananta. All glories to the shelter of all living entities. Tumi Vishnu, Tumi Krishna, Tumi Narayan, Tumi Matsya, Tumi Kurma, Tumi Sanatan, Tumi Sevaraha Prabhu, Tumi Sevaman, Tumi Kara Juge Juge Vedera Palan. Very nice. You are Vishnu, you are Krishna, and you are Narayan, you are Matsya, you are Kurma, and you are eternal. O Lord, you are Varaha and you are Vamana, you protect the Vedas in every millennium. Tumi Rakshakula Hanta Janaki Jivan, Tumi Guhavaradata Ahalya Mochan. You are the destroyer of the demoniac dynasties, you are the life of Sita, the bestower of boons to Guha, and the deliverer of Ahalya. Tumi se Prahlada lagi koilo avatar, Hiranyavadhiya Narasimha Namajar. As Narasimhadev, you incarnated to deliver Prahlad and kill Hiranyakashipu. Sarvadeva Chudamani, Tumi Dvija Raja, Tumi se Bhojan Kora Nilachala Majha. You are the crest jewel of all the demigods and the best of Brahmanas. You accept various foodstuffs at Nilachala. I mean, Jai Gaura Shai Krishna Shai Jagannath. तुम्हारे से चारि वेद बोले अन्वेषिया तुम्ही यथासि रहिया चलुकैया. The four Vedas wander from place to place in search of you. You have hidden from them by coming here. लुकाइते बड़ प्रभु तुम्ही महावीर भक्त जने तुमा धरि करये बाहिर. You are most expert in concealing yourself, but your devotees recognize and expose you. संकीर्तन आरंभे तुम्हारा अवतार अनंत ब्रह्मांडे तुमा बाय नाही यार. You have incarnated to inaugurate the Sankirtan movement. There is nothing in the unlimited universes other than you. ei tor dui khani charana kamal ihara se rase Gauri Shankara vihval. Gauri and Shankar are overwhelmed by the nectar of your lotus feet. So the devotees, I think you know this verse, right? Ullangita trividha simatamatishayi. What is that? Sambhavanam tava parivradhima svabhavam maya balena bhavatapi niguhyamanam pashyanti kechidanisham tvadananya bhavaham. This is by Ācārya. O my Lord, everything within material nature is limited by time, space and thought. Your characteristics, however, being unequaled and unsurpassed, are always transcendental to such limitations. You sometimes cover such characteristics by your own energy, but nevertheless, your unalloyed devotees are always able to see you under all circumstances. The Lord cannot play hide and seek from his devotees. ऐसे चरण रमा सेवे कमने इहार से जश गाय सहस्रवदने. Rama, the goddess of fortune, engages in the service of these lotus feet with full attention. The thousand-headed Anantashesh sings the glories of these lotus feet. ऐसे चरण ब्रह्मा पूजय सदाय श्रुति स्मृति पुराणे इहार जश गाय. Lord Brahma always worships these lotus feet, and the Shrutis, Smritis and Puranas glorify these lotus feet. Satyaloka akramilo aise charane bali shira dhanya hoilo ihara arpane. These lotus feet covered the entire Satyaloka, and the head of Bali Maharaj became glorified by the touch of these lotus feet. The forceful flow of the Ganga that is sustained by Lord Shiva emanates from these lotus feet. Aise charana hoite Ganga avatar Shankara dharila shire mahave gajar. कोटि बृहस्पति जिनी अद्वैतर बुद्धि भालमते जाने से चैतन्यर शुद्धि. The intelligence of Advaita surpasses that of millions of Brihaspatis. He knows perfectly well the glorious position of Lord Chaitanya. The supremacy of Chaitanya Dev is best known to Advaita Prabhu. Advaita's pure intelligence is greater than the intelligence of millions of Brihaspatis. You know, Brihaspati is he is the Brahmarshi. He is the sage among the demigods. What kind of intelligence he has, and millions of them can't even match the intelligence of Advaita Ācārya. Of course, it's Vishnu himself, you see. Varnite charana bhase nayanera jale padila dighal hoye charanera tale While glorifying the Lord's lotus feet, Advaita floated in tears of ecstasy and then fell flat at the lotus feet of the Lord. Sarvabhuta Antaryami Shri Gauranga Rai Charana Tuliya Dila Advaita Mathai. Shri Gauranga Rai, the super soul of all living entities, placed his lotus feet on the head of Advaita. Charana Arpana Shire Korila Jakhana Jai Jai Mahadhvani Hoilo Takhana. As soon as the Lord placed his lotus feet on the head of Advaita, there arose the tumultuous vibration of Jai Jai. Everybody was, shouting. On seeing that wonderful sight, everyone was overwhelmed and began chanting Hari Hari. Hari Hari Boli Sabe Kore Kolahala. Some of them rolled on the ground and some of them clapped their hands. Others cried loudly while embracing each other. The heart's desire of Advaita and his wife was fulfilled, for they attained the lotus feet of the Lord as they had previously desired. Lord Vishwambar instructed Advaita, O Nada, dance in my kirtan. Are Nada, Amar Kirtane, Nritya Karo. Being instructed by the Lord, Advaita Goswami began to dance in various devotional moods. As the most enchanting sound of kirtan arose, Advaita Prabhu danced before Lord Gaurachandra. One moment he danced madly and another moment he danced sweetly. One moment he held many straws between his teeth. Kshaneva vishal nache kshaneva madhur kshaneva dashane trinadharo ye prachur क्षणे घुरे उठे क्षणे पड़ी गड़ी जाए क्षणे घन श्वास छाड़ी क्षणे मूर्छा पाए. How old was Advaita Ācārya at this Leela? He is around Ishwar Puri's contemporary. About, I think, at least 50 years older to maybe Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, maybe. Probably. One moment he whirled around, one moment he stood up, and another moment he rolled on the ground. One moment he sighed deeply, and another moment he felt unconscious. जे कीर्तन जखन सुन ऐसे होय एक भाव स्थिर न है आनंद नाचाय. According to the mood of the kirtan, he happily danced in various ways. In the end, he remained in the mood of a servant. No one could understand his inconceivable glories. When he rushed up to the Lord and saw Nityananda, he smiled while raising his eyebrows. He smiled and said, O Nitai, it is good that you have come. For so long I could not see you. Hasi bole bhalo hoilo aila Nitai. Eto dino tomara na gali nahi paye. Today I will bind you, then where will you go? Sometimes Advaita addressed Nityananda as Prabhu and sometimes he called him a drunkard. And these conversations between Nityananda and Advaita Prabhu were very confidential and not many people could understand. जाएबे कोथाय आजी राखिमु बांधिया क्षणे बोले प्रभु क्षणे बोले माता लिया. So Mataliya means drunkard and Prabhu means master. So sometimes Nityananda Prabhu is addressed by Advaita as Prabhu and sometimes as drunkard. Advaita charitre hase Nityananda Rai ekamurti dui bhag krishnera lilaye. Nityananda Rai smiled at the behavior of Advaita. They are actually one, but they became two for the sake of Krishna's pastimes. Purve boliya che Nityananda nana rupe Chaitanya ras seva kore ashesha kautuke. I have already described how Nityananda joyfully serves Lord Chaitanya in various forms. Actually in Chaitanya Charitamrita also it is there. Nityananda Prabhu, the five Sankarshan, Mahavishnu, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, Kshirodakashayi Vishnu and Anantashesh. So he expands in all these and then he serves the Lord. He has reached the end of all service. In some forms, he advises the Lord, in some forms he meditates on the Lord, in some forms he becomes the Lord's umbrella or bed, and in some forms he sings the glories of the Lord. Kona rupe kohe, kona rupe kore dhyan, kona rupe chhatra shaya, kona rupe gan. Very nice. Kona rupe kohe, kona rupe kore dhyan, kona rupe chhatra shaya, kona rupe gan. Nityananda Advaita abheda kori jan. E avatare jane jato bhagyavan. All the most fortunate souls know very well that there is no difference between Nityananda and Advaita. जे किछु कलह लीला देखह दोहार से सब अचिंत्य रंग ईश्वर व्यवहार. All their pastimes of quarreling together that you see are the inconceivable sporting of the Lord. So they actually quarrel, Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita, but their quarrels have very, very deep meanings actually. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita also one such incident is described. You know, their disagreement, their argument, but actually there is a very deep meaning to that whole conversation, which not many people can understand. Although some people discriminate between Nityananda and Advaita after hearing their exchanges, it is not their business to imagine in this way regarding the nature of inconceivable subject matters. The wonderful variegated pastimes of the Lord are incomprehensible to all. They are situated in the kingdom beyond material thought. The exchange of love between these two resembles the exchange of love between Ananta and Shankar, for they are both dear forms of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. If one who does not understand their quarrels takes the side of one and respects him while criticizing the other, he is vanquished. Those who consider the verbal exchanges between Nityananda and Advaita as quarrels without understanding their internal mood, and those who take the side of one and find fault in the other, thus respecting one and daring to blaspheme the other, such persons are totally ruined. As all the Vaishnavas watched Advaita's dancing, they were overwhelmed and merged in an ocean of bliss. When the Lord ordered Advaita to stop dancing, he immediately stopped, respecting the Lord's order. The Lord gave his own garland to Advaita and then smiled and said, "Ask for a benediction, ask for a benediction." आपन गलार माला अद्वैतेर दिया वर माग बोले न हासिया सुनिया अद्वैत किच्छु ना करे उत्तर माग पुनः पुनः बोले विश्वम्भर. Advaita did not reply, so Vishwambar repeatedly said, Ask. Advaita boloye आर की मागी मुवर जेवर चाहिलूं ताहा पाइलूं सकल. Advaita then said, "What more can I ask? I have already received whatever I desired. I have danced before you, now all my desires have been fulfilled. O Lord, what can I ask for? What more is there? I have directly seen your incarnation. What should I ask for? You know well what I lack. What is there that you do not see with your transcendental vision?" Lord Vishwambar rolled his head and said, "I have manifested because of you. घरे घरे करी मु कीर्तन परचार मोर जशे नाचे जन सकल संसार." I will preach the chanting of the holy names from house to house so that the entire universe will dance as they sing my glories. ब्रह्मा भव नारदादि जारे तप करे हेनो भक्ति बिलाय मु बोलिलूं तुम्हारे. I will distribute that devotional service for which personalities headed by Brahma, Shiva and Narada undergo austerities. This I assure you. You see, great demigods, die for this bhakti, and I will give this to everyone, door to door. Advaita bolo ye jodi bhakti bilay bastri shudra adi jato murkhera shediba. Advaita replied, "If you will distribute devotional service, then also give it to the less intelligent persons, including the women and shudras. विद्या धन कुल आदि तपस्यार मदे तोर भक्ति जे जन वाधे से पापिष्ठ सब देखी मरुक पुड़िया आचंडाल नाचुक तोर नाम गुण गाया." अद्वैतेर वाक्य सुनी कोरिला हुकार प्रभु बोले सत्य जे तुम्हार अंगीकार. Let all the sinful people who are proud of their education, wealth, high birth and austerities, and those who place obstacles in the path of your devotees and your devotional service burn to death. And let all others, including the dog-eaters, dance while singing your holy names and qualities. Hearing Advaita's statement, the Lord roared loudly and said, "Whatever you say will be fulfilled." The entire world is witness to these words, for the Lord's mercy was distributed to the foolish and fallen. Even the dog eaters are dancing and singing the glories of the Lord, while the Bhattas, Mishras and Chakravartis are engaged in criticism. Okay, there is some kind of disturbance by this one Anbe Shivam. Please find your own place. Don't come here and start some nonsense here. Here we are discussing the pastimes of the Lord. So please go somewhere else. You see, very nicely said. चंडालादि नाचय प्रभुर गुण गाने भट्ट मिश्र चक्रवर्ती सब निंदा जाने. So even the dog eaters are dancing and singing the glories of the Lord, while the bhattas, mishras and chakravartis are engaged in criticism. These are the so-called Brahmin family. Padma Puran Uttarakhanda chapter 50 it is stated. वेदाध्याय रता नित्यम नित्यम वै यज्ञ याजकाः अग्निहोत्र रता नित्यम विष्णुधर्म परान्मुखाः निंदन्ति विष्णुभक्तांश्च वेदबाह्यः सुरेश्वरी. O goddess, those who are always engaged in studying the Vedas and performing fire sacrifices but are averse to the eternal activities of devotional service, as well as those who are engaged in activities that are not sanctioned by the Vedas, always blaspheme Lord Vishnu and his devotees. ग्रंथपड़ी मुंड मुड़ी कारो बुद्धिनाश नित्यानंद निंदा करे जाइबे कनाश. So he says, someone who studies the scriptures and shaves his head may nevertheless lose his intelligence, for one who blasphemes Nityananda is certainly doomed. And here we have one person who is in the comment section simply blaspheming the whole our Vaishnava philosophy. So please, I think don't engage with him. Just either leave him alone or just get him out. He doesn't deserve this meeting. So, Granthapadi Mundamudi Karo Buddhinash Nityananda Ninda Kore Jai Bekanash. One who blasphemes Nityananda is certainly doomed. वेदैः पुराणैः सिद्धान्तैः भिन्नैः विभ्रान्त चेतसः भिन्नैः विभ्रान्त चेतसः निश्चयं नाधिगच्छन्ति किं तत्त्वं किं परं पदम्. Persons bewildered by the conclusions of the Vedas, Puranas and other scriptures cannot perfectly know the truth regarding the Supreme Lord and his supreme abode Vaikuntha. The entire world received love of God by the mercy of Advaita Prabhu. All these pastimes are described in the Madhya Khanda. Only Saraswati, the mother of the universe, knows everything about the loving conversations between Lord Chaitanya and Advaita Prabhu. Shuddha Saraswati, the goddess of all sound vibration, is the mother of all emotions of this world. She knows all the conversations between Chaitanya and Nityananda and Advaita Prabhu also. That goddess manifests on everyone's tongue and unlimitedly sings the glories of Lord Chaitanya. I offer my respectful obeisances at the feet of all the Vaishnavas so that they may not consider my offences. Advaita Gosai and his wife became jubilant, and in the order of the Lord they remained there, accepting Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul. I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of the lotus feet. So this is the 6th chapter. Wow, 9:40. Let me know if you want, because we are supposed to read about, only we read about Advaita Ācārya hiding. We haven't read about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu's hiding. So, what do we do? Please let me know. I am ready. Madhya Khanda 3.120 onwards. And how many verses are there? 119. Kindly continue. Rajeshwari Mataji. Okay. Nityananda. Is it 320? Hmm. So Nityananda Prabhu was actually um, going to many places of pilgrimage. Avadhut. He is called Avadhut because he is completely oblivious to worldly consciousness. He's always in ecstasy. So the most magnanimous Nityananda visited Gaya, Kashi, Prayag, Mathura, Dwaraka, and the ashram of Naranarayan. He went to the place of the Buddhists and the residence of Vyas. He visited Ranganath, Setubandha, and the Malaya hills. He then went to Anantapur and fearlessly travelled through uninhabited forests. He visited the Gomati, Gandaki, Saryu, and Kaveri rivers. He also went to Ayodhya and then wandered through the forest of Dandakaranya. He went to Trimalla, Venkatanath, Sapta Godavari, and the abode of Lord Shiva and Kanyakumari. Lord Nityananda visited the Reva river, Mahishmati, Mallatirtha, and Haridwar, where the Ganga descended in ancient times. In this way, after travelling to all the holy places, Lord Nityananda returned to Mathura. Shivoham is asking, I want to ask a few questions. So, I think this is not a time for questions because we are actually reading a particular topic. Please, we have an AMA session, Ask Me Anything, AM, Ask Me Anything Mondays. So, every alternate Monday we have this. So, coming Monday we have Ask Me Anything session. So, in that you can ask as many questions as you want. But of course, we will answer only 3. If we don't have time and if there are too many questions, we will answer 3 from every person. But if we have time, we will get back to the 4th and 5th at the end, if we have time. So that is the format. So you can ask the questions at that time. But now, we are actually reading a particular pastime. So please hear this because it is very important. You also listen because, okay. No one could recognize Nityananda, the origin of Ananta, as he roared loudly on seeing his previous birthplace. He remained always in the mood of a child without displaying any other mood, as he sported in the dust of Vrindavan. He never endeavoured for his meals and repeatedly rolled in the dust of Vrindavan in the mood of a child. No one could understand his magnanimous characteristics. He did not consume anything other than the mellows of Krishna consciousness. On some days he drank some milk if someone offered him without asking. That was how Nityananda Prabhu was. Only sometimes he would drink milk. Most of the days he would just not even care. In this way, Nityananda Prabhu resided in Vrindavan while in Navadvip, Gaurachandra revealed himself. So Gaurachandra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, revealed himself, declaring and inaugurating the movement. And Nityananda Prabhu was in Vrindavan at that time. The Lord constantly engaged in Sankirtan in great happiness, yet he became unhappy on not seeing Nityananda. Nityananda understood that the Lord had manifested himself. He had waited in Vrindavan for this moment. On realizing this, he immediately went to Navadvip, where he stayed at the house of Ācārya. Again, Ācārya is here. The word jhata means quickly. For a description of Ācārya, one may see Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi 10.39 or Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhyakanda chapter 17. So Adi 10.39 is what actually led us here. So he went to the house of Ācārya. Ācārya was a Mahabhagavat. Now we see something about Ācārya. He saw that the bodily effulgence of Nityananda was equal to the sun. Purport: the topmost Uttama Adhikaris are pure devotees of the Lord. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 11-45 as follows: Sarvabhuteshu yaha pashyed bhagavad bhavam atmanah bhutani bhagavatyatmani esha bhagavatottamah. The most advanced devotee sees within himself the soul of all souls, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Consequently, he sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord and understands that everything that exists is eternally situated within the Lord. Being the foremost of such liberated souls in the Mahabhagavat, Sri Nityananda Prabhu is the origin of all pure devotees of the Lord. He is the most effulgent and is the basis of spiritual illumination. Of course, so this is what was, I'm not going to read everything. We have a lot to cover, so you can go and read it at your convenience. So he realized, he's a Mahabhagavata and understood Nityananda Prabhu's position, this Nandana Ācārya. Nityananda appeared as a great Avadhuta with a large body. He was always grave and most sober. Mahavadhuta Vesha Prakanda Sharir Niravadhe Gabhirata Dekhi Mahadhir. Only those who have attained perfection in the sannyas order of life and have naturally become indifferent to external renunciation are known as avadhutas. Many people are bewildered on seeing the avadhuta's disdain for external signs. When a strict sannyasi attains perfection in the sannyas order, he becomes renowned as a learned sannyasi or avadhuta. Sri Nityananda Prabhu is the topmost of such avadhutas. His gravity and extreme patience were observed by Nandana Ācārya. So although he is in the Grihastha ashram, he is still known as avadhuta. He chanted the names of Krishna day and night. He was the abode of Lord Chaitanya, incomparable within the three worlds. Sometimes he roared loudly in his own ecstasy. He appeared greatly intoxicated, just like the incarnation of Balram. His attractive face defeated the beauty of millions of moons, and his enchanting smile was the life and soul of the universe. Jagat Jivana Hasya Sundara Adhar. The effulgence of his teeth defeated that of pearls, and his two broad reddish eyes increased the beauty of his face. His hands stretched down to his knees and his chest was high. His two soft lotus feet were expert in movement. He spoke to everyone with great compassion. On hearing the words from his lotus mouth, one's bondage due to fruitive activities was destroyed. When Lord Nityananda arrived in Nadia, there were shouts of joy all over the world. Who can describe the glories of the Lord who broke the sannyas danda of Gaurasundar? Dandabhanga, that is actually another Leela. We're not going to go into that now. The entire universe is purified by the... Okay, Shubham Shukla is asking, may I ask a question? Only if it is relation to the topic under discussion. So, reading on, the entire universe is purified by chanting the names of He who delivered the fallen, the foolish and the merchants. Varnika adhama murkha jaikori lapar, brahmanda pavitra hoye namalo elejar. There is something reference to Antyakhanda chapter 5 here. Nandana Ācārya welcomed Nityananda Prabhu, fed him and kept him in his house. Anyone who hears about the arrival of Nityananda in Navadvip will certainly receive the wealth of love. When Vishwambhara understood that Nityananda had arrived, he became unlimitedly joyful at heart. On some pretext, the Lord had previously given the Vaishnavas some hint about Nityananda's arrival, yet none of them had understood. आरे भाई दिन दुई तीनेर भितरे कोनो महापुरुष एको आशिबे एथारे. O brothers, within 2 or 3 days some great personality will come here. By providence, after worshipping Vishnu that same day, Gaurachandra soon met with all the Vaishnavas. The Lord told everyone, today I have seen something wonderful in a dream. A chariot adorned by a flag marked with a palm tree, an expert in bestowing the essence of life on all people, arrived at my doorstep. On the pretext of explaining the topics of his dream, Gaurasundar said, I saw Sri Baladev Prabhu's chariot adorned with a flag marked with a palm tree arrive at my doorstep. So, looks like Balaram's chariot is adorned with a flag with a palm tree. This chariot adorned with a flag marked with a palm tree delivers one from the non-essentials of this material world and awards the essence of life. In this material world, everything is temporary, but those who are attracted by Baladev's chariot adorned by a flag marked with a palm tree are eligible to be attracted by the essential objects of this world. The height of the chariot adorned by a flag marked with a palm tree is incomparable, just as a palm tree is higher than other trees. Similarly, the mental chariot of conditioned souls is tiny in comparison to the palm tree marked on that flag. The palm tree marked on the top of Baladev's chariot is adorned with fruits. Within the chariot, I saw someone with a huge body. He held a post on his shoulder and his movements were unsteady. So it looks like Nityananda Prabhu had a very massive body. In his left hand, he carried a water pot wrapped with cane. He was dressed in blue garments and his head was decorated with a blue cloth. His left ear was decorated with charming earring. By his characteristics, I could understand that he was none other than Haladhar. Haladhar means Balram. His left ear was decorated with charming ear. So it looks like Balram has one earring. Some gangsters do that, right? Nityananda Prabhu was the original gangster, I think. He repeatedly inquired 10 or 20 times, is this the house of Nimai Pandit? Ei bari Nimai Panditer hoy hoy, Dashabar Vishabar ei kotha koy. So, see, that great personality that I saw in my dream learned Hindi in Vrindavan, and when he came to the doorstep of my house, he asked the neighbors in Hindi 10 or 20 times, does this house belong to Nimai Pandit or not? So, Nityananda Prabhu was speaking Hindi. He was dressed like an avadhut and appeared to be most powerful. I have never seen such a personality before. I was filled with respect on seeing him and asked, which great personality are you? He smiled and said, I am your brother. Tomorrow we will meet. Hasya amare bole ei bhai hoy. Tomai amay kali hoibo parichoy. I became most pleased by hearing his words and I considered myself to be identical with him. While speaking in this way, the Lord lost his external consciousness and roared loudly in the mood of Haladhar. The Lord repeatedly cried out, bring wine, bring wine. His cry was so loud that everyone's eardrums were almost broken. Mada an, boli prabhu dake, hunkara shunite yena, dui karna fate. So this is actually Balaram's pastime, we can see in the Krishna book also, Bhagavatam. Of course, this is not normal wine. It is like, what is it called? Somaras, like that. It's the intoxication of Balaram. And he goes into ecstasy. When he killed Dvivida gorilla, that time he was actually dancing with his group of Sakhis. And at that time he asked for his intoxicant beverage. So that same mood Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is manifesting. Srivas Pandit said, please hear me, O Gosai, the wine that you are demanding is available only with you. Only one whom you give it to can have it. The devotees were trembling as they looked on from a distance. So he is asking, all the Vaishnavas contemplated, there must be a reason for this. They were not understanding what is happening. The reddish-eyed Lord recited poems and laughed as his body swayed back and forth like Sankarshan. The word Ācārya refers to the line of a poem. Those poems with lines having more syllables than prescribed and that are also not essays are called Ācaryas. The word Tarja refers to Ācaryas in the form of spontaneously composed songs. After a while, the Lord returned to his normal state. Then the friend of Ram began to explain the meaning of the dream. It appears to me that some great personality has arrived here. I have already previously informed you that we will soon meet a great personality. O Haridas, O Srivas, go immediately and see who has come. On the order of the Lord, the two Mahabhagavats happily searched throughout Navadvip. Both Haridas Thakur and Srivas Pandit are Mahabhagavatas. By the will of Gaurasundar, they began to joyfully search all the villages of Navadvip, beginning with Sri Mayapur, to find that great personality who had appeared in the Lord's dream. While searching in this way, they confided to each other, "It seems Lord Sankarshan has come." Overwhelmed in ecstasy, the two looked everywhere but were unable to get any indication of where he was. They looked all over Nadia for 9 hours without finding anyone and then returned to the Lord. The two informed the Lord, "We have not found anyone new. We have searched the residences of Vaishnavas, Sannyasis, and Grahasthas. We have even gone to the houses of atheists. We have looked all over Navadvip, but we did not go outside Navadvip." Gaurachandra smiled as he heard their report. By this pastime, he revealed that Nityananda is most confidential. See, this is another thing. So, Nityananda Prabhu is not easily to be understood, cannot be easily understood, cannot be easily found. Some persons sing the glories of Gaurachandra in this incarnation and run away when they hear the name of Nityananda. If one worships Govinda but does not respect Lord Shiva, as a result of this sin, he will go to the abode of Yamaraj. Archayitva tu Govindam tadiyanarchayattu yaha nasa bhagavato gneyah kevalam dambhikah smritah. One who performs worship of Lord Govinda but fails to worship his devotee should be understood to be not a devotee of the Lord but simply a victim of false pride. In this incarnation, Lord Nityananda is most confidential. One can see him only when Lord Chaitanya reveals him. Wow. The progress of anyone who blasphemes him without understanding the depth of his characteristics is obstructed, even if he achieves devotional service to Vishnu. Devotees like Shrivas certainly know the truth regarding Nityananda, but for some curious reason they could not find him. After a while the Lord smiled and said, "Everyone come and see him with me." All the devotees happily went with the Lord while chanting Jai Krishna. Sri Gaurasundar led all the devotees to the house of Nandana Ācārya. Sitting there was one great jewel-like personality. Everyone saw that his effulgence was like that of millions of suns. No one could understand his internal mood. His was absorbed in happiness from his meditation and continually smiled. Understanding his pure devotional mood, Vishwambhar and the devotees offered him obeisances. On seeing his pure devotional mood, Gaurahari and his followers offered obeisance to Nityananda. Everyone then stood there watching him in awe and reverence without speaking a word. Mahaprabhu Vishwambhar stood directly in front of Nityananda, who immediately recognized the Lord of his life. The form of Vishwambhar was as attractive as that of Cupid. He was decorated with divine sandalwood pulp, flower garlands and garments. How can the luster of shining gold be compared with his body? Even the moon desires to see his face. Ki hoy kanakadyuti shede her age, shevadane dekhite chandera sadh lage. Accompanied by the devotees, the most enchanted Sri Gauranga and Nityananda wander throughout Navadvip. The value of pearls is minimized on seeing his beautiful teeth, and one loses consciousness on seeing his tied up hair. One who sees his elongated lotus eyes wonders whether other lotuses exist. His hands reach down to his knees and his raised chest is adorned with a thin white Brahmana thread. His forehead is beautified with marks of tilak and his entire body looks most enchanting even without ornaments. What is the beauty of millions of jewels compared with the beauty of his toenails? What is the use of nectar when we see his smile? Kiba hoye koti mani se na khechahite, se hasya dekhite kiba koribo amrite. Accepting Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of the lotus feet. So we have seen the hiding of Nityananda Prabhu in Nandana Ācārya's house. And the glory of Nityananda Prabhu was, magnified in this. And finally we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Probably we have to take a break. It's already 10 o'clock. Chapter 17. One second. (118 verses). I think we will finish it. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, all glories to Mahaprabhu Sri Gaurasundar Nityananda, whose body is the object of everyone's worship. The topics of Madhyakanda are like drops of nectar. By hearing these topics, one's atheistic mentality is vanquished. In this way, Lord Vishwambar kept his identity concealed while constantly performing Sankirtan in Navadvip. The word Gudharupe means secretly or without revealing himself. In this way means okay, we will read the synopsis of this chapter, summary of this chapter. This chapter describes the wandering of Mahaprabhu through the city of Navadvip, the various statements of atheists against Mahaprabhu and Mahaprabhu's reply, the Lord's inauguration of Sankirtan to mitigate the miseries he felt due to conversing with the atheists. Actually, the Lord was conversing with atheists, then he felt very disturbed, then he wanted to start Kirtan. That's how he inaugurated. The absence of the Lord's ecstasy during the performance of Kirtan and his inquiry about the cause, the statement of Srimad Advaita Ācārya and his dancing, the Lord's exhibition of loving anger towards Advaita due to the absence of ecstasy in Kirtan, the Lord's jumping into the waters of the Ganga, the act of lifting the Lord out of the Ganga by Nityananda and Haridas, the Lord's order to Nityananda and Haridas to keep him concealed, the Lord's arrival at the house of Ācārya, Ācārya's service to the Lord, Mahaprabhu's secret stay at the house of Nandana, Advaita's distress and fasting due to not seeing the Lord, Mahaprabhu's invitation to Srivas through Ācārya and his inquiry about Advaita from Srivas, the Lord's arrival at the place of Advaita, the Lord's words of solace to Advaita, Advaita's prayer for the service of Gaura and the glories of Krishna's service are the topics of this chapter. When Mahaprabhu wandered throughout Navadvip, everyone saw him as Cupid personified. The ordinary people saw him as full of pride. And after seeing his strength of learning, the atheists were frightened. Although the Bhattacharyas proudly declared themselves as teachers for awarding knowledge, Mahaprabhu did not consider them as equal to the straw in the street. When Sri Gaurasundar wandered about in the city of Navadvip with his devotees, he kept his identity covered. Being defeated by the keen intelligence of the Lord, the atheists secretly began to conspire against him. They complained to the local administration against Mahaprabhu. During the course of Mahaprabhu's travelling throughout the city, the atheists indirectly informed the Lord about the arrival of the local administrator. Mahaprabhu replied to them that he had studied all the scriptures at an early age, but no one challenged him because he was only a boy. Therefore, he also has a desire to meet the royal administrator in order to proclaim his self-prestige. After returning home, Mahaprabhu expressed to the devotees his unhappiness due to conversing with the atheists. In order to remove that unhappiness, the Lord began to dance and chant with his associates. When in the course of Kirtan, the Lord repeatedly declared that he was not feeling any ecstasy, Advaita Ācārya Prabhu, who was intoxicated by love for Sri Chaitanya, informed the Lord that since he had appointed Nityananda as the storekeeper of ecstatic love and since he had distributed love of God to even gardeners while deceiving Advaita and Srivas, Advaita Prabhu has absorbed all his love. Being maddened with love of God, Advaita Ācārya spoke in this way and then began to dance joyfully. After hearing the words of Advaita, Gaurasundar declared that it is useless to maintain a body that is devoid of love of God. Thus, with a desire to give up his body, he jumped into the Ganga. Nityananda and Haridas, however, pulled the Lord out of the Ganga. With a desire to remain hidden, Mahaprabhu forbade Nityananda and Haridas from disclosing this news to anyone and personally went to stay in the house of Nandana. According to Mahaprabhu's order, Nityananda and Haridas did not disclose this news to anyone. When the devotees could not find the Lord, they began to cry out of separation. Being afflicted with intense feelings of separation from Mahaprabhu, Advaita Prabhu also remained without any food or water. When Mahaprabhu arrived at the house of Nandana and sat down on the throne of Vishnu, Nandana offered his respectful obeisances to Mahaprabhu and engaged with love in his service. Thereafter, Mahaprabhu told Nandana to keep his arrival a secret. Nandana informed the Lord that even though he lives in the hearts of the living entities as Supersoul and hides himself in the ocean of milk in the form of Kshirodakashaya Vishnu, the devotees find him in the innermost regions and reveal him before the people of the world. Therefore, how could he keep him concealed? This is the statement of Nandana. In this way, Nandana glorified the actual truth of Mahaprabhu. Being pleased with Nandana's words, Mahaprabhu spent that night at his house discussing topics of Krishna. The next morning, Mahaprabhu developed a desire to bestow mercy on Sri Advaita Prabhu. He ordered Nandana to bring Srivas Pandit alone. When Nandana on the order of Lord brought Srivas Pandit before the Lord, Srivas immediately began to cry out of love on seeing Mahaprabhu. The Lord then solaced Srivas and inquired from him about Advaita. Srivas informed Mahaprabhu that Advaita's distress due to separation and his fasting. He prayed to the Lord to give darshan to Advaita Ācārya and the other devotees who were overwhelmed due to separation from the Lord. After hearing the words of Srivas, the most merciful Gaurasundar went to see Sri Advaita Ācārya. Finding Advaita in an unconscious state, the Lord considered himself a great offender and began to repeatedly call Advaita. When Advaita Ācārya then humbly informed Gaurasundar about his own sinful mentality, pride and anger, and prayed to remain at the lotus feet of the Lord as a servant, Mahaprabhu described through a material example how the Supreme Lord always forgives the offences committed by his servants, and how a person who has been punished by Krishna for his offence is eligible to attain the service of Krishna. After hearing the Lord's solacing words, Advaita Ācārya and other devotees became jubilant. Thereafter, the author concludes the chapter by glorifying the greatness of Krishna's service. So that's the summary. So we'll go to that place where this hiding is happening. Okay, you see here. Okay, we will read this part. All glories to Mahaprabhu Sri Gaurasundar, all glories to Nityananda, whose body is the object of everyone's worship. The topics of Madhyakanda are like drops of nectar. By hearing these topics, one's atheistic mentality is vanquished. In this way, Lord Vishwambar kept his identity concealed while constantly performing Sankirtan in Navadvip. When the Lord wandered throughout the city, everyone who saw him thought he was Cupid himself. In ordinary dealings, the Lord appeared to be full of pride. Even atheists were frightened by seeing the strength of his knowledge. The Lord considered the Bhattacharyas, who were supposed to be learned in grammar, as no better than a blade of grass. In his own ecstasy, the Lord kept his identity covered as he wandered throughout the city in the association of his devotees. The atheists said, "O Nimai Pandit, you will soon receive an order from the king. You secretly perform kirtan at night and people constantly curse you because they cannot watch. The curses of the people will not prove false but will soon bear fruit. We are telling you this as well-wishers." The Lord replied, "So be it, let your words come true. For I have a desire to meet the king. Since I studied all the scriptures at an early age, people consider me a child and do not challenge me. I do not find anyone to challenge me. I wish to meet anyone who is prepared to challenge me." So, his way of presentation is like as if he's very proud, In the early life, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared very, very naughty and proud and very mischievous. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You see how he. It is a fact that materialistic persons are opposed to me. I also wish to defend myself before the king. I have studied all scriptures at a tender age, and because of my young age, no one challenges me. If the king challenges me, then I can make my scholastic prowess known to him. The atheists said, "The king will listen to your kirtan. Because he is a Muslim, he does not care for scriptural debate." The opposing person sarcastically said to Mahaprabhu, "The king is an irreligious Muslim, so he does not care for religious scriptures. He will listen to your kirtan." Considering the atheist as no better than a blade of grass, the Lord returned to his home. The Lord said, "Today I have talked to some atheists, therefore let us have kirtan so that my misery will be destroyed." As Mahaprabhu, the Lord of Vaikuntha, danced, all his servants surrounded him and sang. A couple of times the Lord stopped and said, "Oh brothers, why am I not feeling any ecstasy today? Am I not feeling ecstasy because I talked to some atheists in the city today?" So the different definitions of pashandis or atheists are mentioned here. See, those who Smartha Brahmanas are also considered as pashandis. See, they forget, they don't worship Krishna as a supreme and for devotional service sake. They establish fruitive activities as an independent process of attaining the goal of life. But they disregard Vishnu. So, Vedavad Rata, they are actually pashandis. So many nice definitions of pashandis. Those who are devoid of the proper behavior received through the disciplic succession are called pashandis by the Shastras. Wow. If I have insulted you in any way, then please forgive my offenses and save my life. So, he is not feeling ecstasy. Then his immediate statement was, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if I have insulted you in any way, then please forgive my offenses and save my life. So that's how, if we are feeling some kind of a lack of enthusiasm or some sudden drop in our enthusiasm or ecstasy or sudden interest in materialistic life, these kind of things are actually signs of offenses. It means I have offended someone. So that's why this is how, and even if we become sick, this is how we should actually think. When we become sick, I must have offended some Vaishnava. So we have to pay obeisances mentally and physically if possible, like that. Advaita Prabhu, the great recipient of the Lord's mercy, frowned and danced as he said, "How will you feel ecstatic love when nada has drained you?" I do not get love of God and neither does Srivas. You enjoy your pastimes of ecstatic love with oil millers and gardeners. Avadhut has become the servant of your love while Srivas and I are left out. We are not qualified to attain your love while this Avadhut has come and become the storekeeper of your love. O Gosai, if you do not award me your ecstatic love, I will dry it all up. Then do not blame me. So of course this looks like a fight and like a quarrel or something like that, but this is very, exalted. We cannot just face value try to judge it. You always remain intoxicated by topics of the Lord's pastimes of ecstatic love with persons of castes other than Brahmanas, such as gardeners and oil millers. Means actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not care for this caste and all this. Rather than discussing the scriptures with learned Brahmanas, you associate with people of lower caste. Srivas and I are not receiving your love. Avadhut Nityananda has become the only beneficiary of your love. If you do not bestow your love on me, then I will drain it all out. Ācārya Goswami was maddened with Lord Chaitanya's love. He did not remember what he said or what he did. He's talking like a madman. Krishna increases the glories of his devotees in all respects. They are able to sell him wherever they want. So they are able to sell him wherever they want. For one who can sell Krishna by the influence of his devotional service, what is unusual about speaking in this way? Gaurachandra increases the glories of his devotees in various ways. Who can understand his mercy and punishment? As the Lord lamented due to not receiving the happiness of ecstatic love, Advaita joyfully danced while clapping his hands. After listening to Advaita's words, Lord Vishwambar did not make any reply. The Lord suddenly opened the door and ran out, and Nityananda and Haridas ran after him. The phrase Radadila means ran or rushed away. Thinking that there was no use in keeping a body devoid of love of God, the Lord jumped into the Ganga. This is how he was feeling, Shunyaitam Jagat Sarvam. If I don't feel the love of Godhead, what is the use of my body? Let me die. Life without love is poor and useless, they say. O Lord, employ me in thy service, with love as my pay. That 20.37 Antilila, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Poetized in English by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So this ties to that. Prema shunya sharirat thuiya ki bakaja chintiya padila prabhu jahnavir majha. As the Lord jumped into the Ganga, Nityananda and Haridas jumped in behind him. Nityananda quickly caught the Lord by his hair and Haridas grabbed the Lord's lotus feet. The two then carried the Lord out of the water, whereupon the Lord said, "Why did you restrain me? For what purpose should I maintain this life which is devoid of love of God? Why did you two hold me back?" Madhya 2.45 Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu speaks, "Na prema gandhosti." Oh, this is wait. 2.45. न प्रेम गंधोस्ति तरापि मे क्रन्दामि सौभाग्यभरं प्रकाशितं वंशी विलास न प्रेम गंधोस्ति तरापि मे हरौ क्रन्दामि सौभाग्यभरं प्रकाशितुं वंशी विलास्यानलोकनं विना बिभर्मि यत् प्राणपतंगकान् वृथा. My dear friends, I have not the slightest tinge of love of Godhead within my heart. When you see me crying in separation, I am just falsely exhibiting a demonstration of my great fortune. Indeed, not seeing the beautiful face of Krishna playing his flute, I continue to live my life like an insect without purpose. So, the two trembled as they thought, what will happen today? So Nityananda and Haridas. What will happen today? Looking at Nityananda, Gaurachandra spoke. Why did you grab my hair? Nityananda replied, why did you try to kill yourself? So they are arguing. The Lord said, I know you are most restless. Nityananda then said, O Lord, please forgive me. Do you want to give up your body because of someone that you can easily punish? If servants speak something out of pride, does their master take their lives? Filled with devotion, Nityananda shed tears of love for Lord Chaitanya, who was everything for him, his life, wealth and friend. The Lord said, listen, Nityananda and Haridas, do not tell anyone that you have seen me. Tell everyone that you did not see me, you follow this order of mine. Today I will hide here. If you tell anyone, then do not blame me for the consequences. So, he threatened. After speaking in this way, the Lord went to the house of Nandana. Following the Lord's order, the two kept this a secret. Absorbed in love for Krishna, the devotees all became full of distress when they were unable to receive any news about the Lord. They began to cry due to feelings of intense separation. No one said anything as their hearts burned. Everyone felt like they had been struck by a thunderbolt, and Advaita, the Lord of Shantipur, thought himself a great offender. Feeling that he had committed an offense, Advaita Prabhu went home and fasted due to intense separation from the Lord. Filled with lamentation, everyone returned to their homes with the treasure of the Gauranga's lotus feet bound in their hearts. So this is Vipralambha. Service in separation, ecstasy of separation. The Lord arrived at Nandanacharya's house where he sat down on the throne of Vishnu. Seeing that the most auspicious personality has arrived in his house, Nandanacharya offered obeisances by falling flat on the ground. He quickly brought new clothes for Sri Sachinandan, who then changed his wet clothes. Nandanacharya offered arghya and fragrant oils as well as sandalwood paste and flower garland prasad. He decorated the Lord's body with sandalwood paste. He then brought camphor and betel nuts and offered them to the Lord, who happily ate his devotees' offerings. The Lord forgot all his distress by the service of the pious Nandanacharya, who sat there offering betel nuts. The Lord said, "O Nandana, listen to me. Today you should hide me here." Nandana replied, "O Lord, this is very difficult. Where can you hide within this world? You could not hide in the hearts of the living entities. The devotees exposed you even from there." हृदय থাকিয়া না পারিলা লুকাইতে विदित करिला तुम्हा भक्त तथा होइते. How can one who could not hide in the ocean of milk hide in an open society? Nandanacharya is basically how can one who could not hide in the ocean of milk hide in an open society? After hearing the words of Nandanacharya, the Lord smiled. He passed that night in Nandana's house. See, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu threatened Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas. You tell this to anyone, you see the consequences. He tried the same thing with Nandanacharya. He said, don't tell anyone. Nandanacharya basically made fun of the Lord. Hey, you and your hiding, what is the use of your hiding? Everybody knows. And your devotees will expose you from everywhere. And you could not hide in the ocean of milk. What are you talking about? But he did it respectfully. But no. The fortunate Nandanacharya spent the entire night discussing the unlimited topics of Krishna with the Lord. As they relished topics of Krishna, the entire night passed like a moment. And then the Lord saw that dawn had broken. The Lord punished Advaita in this way, but ultimately he felt great compassion for him. Looking at Nandanacharya, the Lord instructed him, "Go and bring Srivas Pandit alone." Nandanacharya quickly went to Srivas's house and returned to the Lord with Srivas. On seeing the Lord, Srivas Pandit began to cry out of love. The Lord said, "Do not worry." In compassion, the Lord asked him, "Tell me, how is Advaita Ācārya doing?" "You are asking for more news?" Srivas Pandit asked. "Yesterday Ācārya fasted. He is surviving only because he is destined to. Please show yourself to him and save him." "आछि बारे आछे प्रभु सवे देह मात्र darshan diya tare koroho kritartha." "Achi bare ache" means he is surviving because he is supposed to. If someone else had punished him, would we have tolerated it? You see, if someone else has punished Advaita Ācārya, all the devotees will get angry, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu punished, so now what they can do? "O Lord, you alone are our life and soul, so we cannot get angry with you." Yesterday in lamentation we thought that without you, O Lord, why should we maintain our lives? You have given punishment like you said you would. Now please come and show your mercy. After hearing Srivas's words, the most merciful Lord went to Sri Advaita Ācārya. When the Lord came and found Advaita Ācārya was practically unconscious, he considered himself a great offender. After previously receiving the Lord's mercy, Advaita would wander about like he was intoxicated with pride, but after being punished by the Lord, his body trembled. See, previously Advaita Ācārya received so much mercy, Advaita would wander about like he was intoxicated with pride. Of course, it's not pride. He would, this is all their ecstatic dealings. After being punished by the Lord, his body trembled. On seeing his condition, the merciful Lord said, "O Ācārya, get up and see. It is I, Vishwambhar." Advaita was ashamed to say anything. In ecstatic love, he meditated on the Lord's lotus feet. The Lord again said, "Get up, Ācārya, don't worry, get up and perform your duties." Advaita said, "O Lord, you inspired me to act the way I did. Whatever you are saying to me now is all an external show. You always treat me in such a way that I become proud, and as a result I suffer. O Lord, you have awarded everyone else the topmost mood of service, but you show me reverence. You yourself inspire me and then you punish me. You speak one thing and think another. You are my life, wealth, body and mind, yet still you give me misery. This is your opulence. O Lord, please give me the mood of service and keep me at your feet as the son of your maidservant. Son of your maidservant. On hearing the words of Advaita, Sri Gaurasundar spoke to him in front of all the Vaishnavas. Listen, O Ācārya, I am telling you the truth. Just consider this example that I am narrating. Rajapatra Rajasthane चलो ये जखन द्वारी प्रहरीरा सब करे निवेदन महापात्र जदि गोचरिया राजस्थाने जीव्यलय दिले रहे गोष्ठीर जीवने जय महापात्र स्थाने करे निवेदन राजा आज्ञा हईले काटे से सब जन. When a royal administrator goes before the king, the guards place a request before him. And when the royal administrator meets the king and conveys the guards' request, he collects their wages and then distributes them to the guards, who along with their families survive on that. If such a royal administrator before whom the guards place their request makes an offense, then by the order of the king, those same guards do not hesitate to execute him. The word jivya refers to the ingredients that are necessary for maintaining one's livelihood. The phrase Goshthir Jivane means to maintain one's dependent family members. When a chief administrator goes to see the king, the guards request him to collect their wages for them. After this administrator conveys the guards' request before the king and collects the wages for their maintenance from the king, he distributes them among the guards who maintain their family members with those wages. If such an influential person commits an offense to the king, then by the order of the king, those same guards do not hesitate to take his life. On one hand, the royal administrator is entrusted with the responsibility of ruling the kingdom, and on the other hand, he is killed for his offense. In the same way, Krishna is the king of kings, while Brahma and Shiva, the creator and annihilator, are his servants. There's a long purport here. You can read this. It looks like an interesting purport, but we don't have much time. He gives the power to create, so if he awards punishment, no one can protest. Consorts like Lakshmi and personalities like Shiva also receive punishment from Krishna. Yet the Lord always forgives the offenses of his servants. If Krishna punishes one for his offense, then I tell you that he is a servant of Krishna birth after birth. अपराध देखी कृष्ण जार शास्ति करे जन्मे जन्मे दास से बोलिलो तुम्हारे. Get up, take bath and perform your worship, then take your meal without anxiety. On hearing the Lord's words, Advaita became joyful. Realizing that he was punished as a servant, he laughed. Advaita Ācārya was happy because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu considered him his servant, therefore punished him. Advaita exclaimed, "Now I can say you are my Lord." Then he danced in ecstasy. When Advaita Ācārya heard the Lord's words of assurance, he was overwhelmed in ecstasy and forgot the previous distress he had felt due to separation. All the Vaishnavas felt great ecstasy, and Haridas and Nityananda then began to laugh. Due to misfortune, some people are deprived of relishing the topics of these most ecstatic pastimes of the Lord. Sri Advaita Prabhu is the recipient of Lord Chaitanya's love. Due to illusion, some people consider such opulence as insignificant. Do not think that servant implies insignificance. The Lord does accept one as a servant if he is less fortunate. Wow, so long purport. Looks like important one. First one attains liberation, then his material bondage is destroyed, and then he can become the servant of Lord Krishna. So it is a very exalted, status to be in as a servant of Krishna means liberation, then get rid of all the material attachment, then get the Krishna. So it's a very exalted position to be a servant of Krishna. Commentators on the scriptures explain that liberated souls worship Krishna who enjoys transcendental pastimes. We have no time to go through all this purport now. The servants of Krishna have the power of Krishna. कृष्णेर सेवक सब कृष्ण शक्ति धरे अपराधी होइले ओ कृष्ण शास्ति करे. If they commit any offense, Krishna punishes them. Some neophytes consider such devotees of Krishna as insignificant and constantly quarrel with them. Know for certain that they are all most sinful, therefore they do not actually support any Vaishnava. Anyone who has even the slightest doubt that Gaurachandra is the Lord of all is sinful and his devotion is not pure. Some instruct their ass and fox-like disciples, go and meditate on me as Ramachandra. Gardabha Shrigala Tulya Shishyagan Laila के हो बोले आमी रघुनाथ भावगिया. They will ask their disciples to meditate on themselves, on the Guru as Ramachandra. There can be nothing superior to becoming the servant of Lord Chaitanya, who has the power to create, maintain and annihilate. Lord Balaram supports unlimited universes, yet he is the servant of the Lord. What then to speak of ordinary persons? All glories to Lord Nityananda Haladhar, by whose mercy the glories of Lord Chaitanya manifest. By his mercy one develops attachment for Lord Chaitanya. Whatever I speak is due to his mercy. Sri Gaurasundar is the Lord of my Lord. I constantly keep this conviction in my heart. Accepting Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of the lotus feet. So, their lordship's hideout is Nandana Ācārya's house. So we have read extensively and elaborately on Nandana Ācārya. And this is nice. To know each of those names in depth, with context, this is very nice. Alright, so I think we will stop it right there, and if there are any related questions, we will take them on. Himanshu is saying, Prabhu, we should not imitate praying like Advaita Ācārya, right, Prabhu, with full tears and everything. We cannot imitate, of course. We can try, but we will be punished for that. So we should not. These are not to be imitated. Okay, thank you for that reference of Madhyakhanda 3.120. So Prabhu, we should read both Chaitanya Bhagavata and Chaitanya Charitamrita if we have enough time. Well, yeah, you read Prabhupada's books first, and then of course you can always read Chaitanya Bhagavata. It is mentioned, it is here. Can gender be attributed to Krishna or Radha? Okay, these kind of questions we can answer in the AM session. I can answer now, but I will not, because it's not the topic of today's class. So Chandra Prabhu, since both Advaita Ācārya and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are both Lord's incarnations, can we understand the Lord wanted to maximize his desire to taste the loving relationship between Lord and devotee? Yes. Yes. So he shared this love with all his associates. Sango Pangastra Parshadam Eko Bahusyam. There is a Vedic thing that he has, expanded into many to taste loving devotional service from them. But yes, actually this is always the case with the Lord and the Anantasesh or Sankarshan. Sankarshan always serves the Lord. Balaram serves the Lord. Lakshman serves the Lord. Nityananda Prabhu serves the Lord. So in this way he always is serving the Lord. Okay. So I think Prabhuji, were Nityananda Prabhu's bodily features resembling Mahaprabhu's, like how we have deities of Gaur Nitai? Yeah, I mean, Krishna and Balaram, there is no difference. Nityananda Chaitanya, I do not know how they manifested themselves. But yes, I mean, the deities, of course, we always draw them. They are brothers actually originally anyway, Krishna and Balaram. Whose commentary is this? I do not know who translated this. It's Gaudiya Bhashya. I do not know who wrote Gaudiya Bhashya. Not. One smells odor without being connected with the odorous article 1336 Prabhu. What is the meaning? I think these are all not relevant questions. I will not answer them. Alright, thank you very much. And thus Nandana Ācārya Nandana house became the abode of all these wonderful pastimes. The Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's glory was manifest to the world, Nityananda Prabhu's glory was manifest to the world, and this pastime between Advaita Ācārya and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And all chose Nandana Ācārya's house to hide for some reason. I still do not know why, but his house was chosen. Alright, so thank you very much. Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Nandana Ācārya ki jai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita and Sita Thakurani ki jai, Ananta Gaudiya Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.